Well, it's 7:02, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call. Bob?
Here.
John is not here yet. Alex?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
Bettina? Here. Emily is not here. Jen?
Here.
Kristen? Here. Laura?
Here.
Richard is online. There's Emily. Hi. And Sonia.
Here.
So we have a quorum. Thank you, everyone. I just want to start by saying, Alita submitted her resignation a couple of weeks ago. She is not able to attend at night in the evenings anymore. And honestly, she's so busy with the library, the new library project. So she's stepping down, which means we have an opening in Oak Park. We still have an opening in Redwood Village, and we do also have an opening for a business representative.
Wow.
So,
We gotta fill this up.
yeah, if you know anyone that would like to serve Redwood Village Beach. See you looking around. Please, talk to us, after the meeting if you're interested. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Okay, next, do we have any changes to the agenda? Any changes at all?
No.
Okay, agenda is adopted as is without objection. And we'll start next with communication from the public on non-agenda items, and we'll start with people who are in person first. If anyone in person would like to make a non-agenda comment, would you raise your hand? No takers, okay.
All right.
For me, thank you.
Moving on.
So we'll go next to our online people, and I will start with Russ. Russ, you're up first.
Hi, guys. Good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like me to go on video, or is audio fine?
We prefer video if you can. We like
Sure.
to see you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Can you guys see me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. So my name is Russ Edra. I'm a homeowner in the Redwood Village neighborhood. And I actually live in Sean. Yeah, the coincidence. I'm looking. I live in Sean Elo Rivera's District 9. And first, I want to say thank you for providing this forum. This is my first EAPC meeting. And the reason why I'm here, guys, is because I want to raise attention to something I'm sure you guys probably hear a lot about, especially, you know, referring to my interaction with this group this morning. But I want to raise attention to an impending ADU project that is slated for my neighborhood. Right, my neighborhood consists of single-family homes that are built in the 50s. Many of the homes are on narrow streets. A lot of them are on hillsides. I live in a neighborhood with a narrow street and on a hillside. I also live at the end of a cul-de-sac that has already got some limited parking. So recently, in the last, I would say,
It's my
month.
audio, not theirs.
Is that? Yeah.
No,
You
go
guys-
ahead.
Okay, got it. So recently, I would say probably in the last month, it came to my attention that a 15-unit ADU is there's a proposal for it to be built in my neighborhood. Apparently, it's going to take over 2 single-family parcels.
Mute yourself right now and just.
Richard, please keep
Can you
yourself
mute
muted.
Richard?
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. Okay. All right. Can I proceed?
Yes.
Is this eating into my 3 minutes?
Go
So again, guys, this 15-unit ADU, it's not just in my neighborhood, but at the beginning of a cul-de-sac. And you can imagine, for those who live in a cul-de-sac or familiar, parking is already a concern. We can barely park in front. And we also have to deal with the trash trucks, recycling, yard waste, school buses, delivery trucks that already have issues kind of entering and efficiently maneuvering out of the street. So my concern, as you can imagine, is that with this 15-unit ADU at the end of a cul-de-sac, this access is going to be exacerbated. We're talking about access to EMS as well, fire trucks. They're going to have a problem coming down here. So I also want to add that this project is on a hillside in a native vegetation area. in a very high fire hazard severity zone. It falls into the geologic hazard category and is on a slope of 25% or greater. I believe you guys refer to this as the VHFHSZ. So again, I'm bringing attention to this because I really think that this is the perfect example of a developer taking advantage of the bonus ADU ordinance, which allows the developers to turn homes, in single family neighborhoods into high density apartment complexes under a zoning loophole that was created for developers. The thing is, this loophole, allows for this high density development, but it doesn't, require that you change the underlying zoning. And personally, I don't have an issue with the ADU. I think where I have an issue is that it is not in scale with the neighborhood. I think 15 units is an abuse of this loophole to try to meet California housing shortages. I understand the shortages. I'm sympathetic to those shortages. I'm currently in touch with my community rep, Roberto Marin, and he shared that the permit information, which I was able to secure, was issued ministerially, but that the project itself is still subjected to additional regulations and requirements before approval is given, and that the Department of Developmental Services will have the permit reviewed by the San Diego Fire Department to ensure compliance with fire and safety regulations and accessibility. And my hope, guys, is that a careful and honest review of the site is made before the approvals are given. If you guys, and if it helps, I can take pictures and send, bring them to the next meeting. But if you saw where this proposed project is being planned, I guarantee you will be as floored as I was when I heard about this, which moved me to attend this meeting and raise this. So thank you again for this.
Hey,
Yeah,
Russ,
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Where's
All right,
the,
thank
what's
you.
the street?
It's Boren Street,
Boren
B-O-R-E.
what?
Boren, and it's off of Streamview. I think Boren and I want to say Hughes. I've got the permit number if you'd like the permit number.
Boren and Hughes are-
But I used to live on.
Okay, so
It's a long.
All right.
okay.
Yeah, it's a
Thank
long
you.
cul-
Thank you, Russ.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Linda Snyder, you're up. You have 3 minutes, please.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm kind of piggybacking on what Russ was talking about as well. And this is something I've been in touch with the city since last May, and I guess it wasn't until recently the addresses I was providing, they didn't have the correct ones, but as Russ said, the permit has been pulled that, as the city says, that there are some issues, but I'm just concerned as a homeowner too, as far as these being 2 stories and not enough parking on the street and school buses and city vehicles and so forth. And, I'd like to get more involved. I haven't had a chance dealing with a mother-in-law on hospice out of state and other family things and so forth, but I have done a couple of cleanups and that sort of thing. But I just would like to get more involved and, see what we can do to try to, help the situation. I'm not against, the ADU concept, but again, there's got to be some flexibility, if you will, in terms of that. So thank you much for allowing me to speak on this issue.
Thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate it. iPhone, is that Becky Rapp?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is Becky Rapp, and I have recently spoken to your planning group regarding the city's need to respond to the grand jury requiring a report of the fiscal and law enforcement impacts of permitting marijuana businesses in our city, including a public education campaign highlighting the impacts of marijuana consumption on children and seniors. The mayor's office did respond to the grand jury report, stating their findings, and I'd like to share a few with you tonight. When asked about the non-fiscal costs, such as health impacts and law enforcement impacts, the city responded with, "The finding applies to the County of San Diego, and therefore a response is not provided." When asked about the significant health impacts on school-aged children and senior citizens, the city responded with, "The finding applies to the County of San Diego, and therefore a response is not provided." With this report, what it says to me as a parent, a resident, and a planning group member of my own planning group, that if the city chooses to permit a business like a pot shop, they take absolutely no responsibility for the negative impacts that they can have. They pass the baton to the county, stating it's their problem to research and solve. Yes, I understand the county is over public health, but the city is also responsible for providing safe practices and protections, as they've done for similar types of businesses. The city also neglected to address any budget information, including budget analysis and breakdown regarding tax money collected and how it's been allocated. In my opinion, the response is inadequate, and I believe that the city can do better. And I ask that this planning group request accountability from the mayor and council representatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Becky. Kathleen Lippett, you are next.
Thank you. Good evening. Thanks for letting me speak. I actually wanted to segue off of both other public comments that talked about the problems that these land use changes are causing and for community members. And along those lines, apologize for the last minute notice, but tomorrow in Pacific Beach, many of the community planning groups and chairs are going to get together. There's going to be a press conference where they're going to discuss the issues that many of the planning groups are having problems with. So they're related again to the new mixed use zoning laws, which undermine years of sensitive use setbacks and notification processes, and the ADUs that are now going into single family residential zones, multiple stories. The city had already eliminated in many cases parking that was essential to begin with, but they didn't take into consideration long-term effects of fire insurance and how they were going to respond. In some cases, fire tenants, property owners have been told that their property is not going to be insured by the fire department because there's not enough distance in between the two properties, because in the city of San Diego, they asked the state whether they could have 0 setbacks, and the state said sure. And so now that means that the fire departments will not be able to access if there's 2 properties sharing the same property line. And the height limits, property or community groups like Pacific Beach, they've had in their community plan that 30 feet was the maximum height, and yet the city came in and said, okay, we're going to put this 3-story, 5-story ADU right in the middle of the second most dangerous intersection. We're not going to provide the parking that is required, and it'll be dangerous. So I hope that anybody who's interested in these issues will come to the rally. I'll send you a little more notification on it as far as so it's logistically, it's at the Taylor Library in Pacific Beach at 5:45 p.m. I know it's late, and they have wonderful restaurants though. Just FYI, they do. Those bars really know how to make really good food. So I appreciate that Russ's comment earlier and Linda's comment. They are not the only residents who are having these problems. And so I hope that there will be, because I think one community planning group at a time is not going to get the attention of the city. There's got to be a lot more people saying the same things. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Kathleen.
Are you going to that tomorrow?
No, I have a Park and Rec meeting to go to. Okay, move on to our representative reports. And I think everyone saw the email that Lucero Maganda moved on to another district. And so we have joining us tonight, Fatima Maciel, and I hope I pronounced that reasonably close. Probably not, but thank you. You're up.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's Fatima Maciel, pretty close. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet y'all virtually. But yeah, I am the new community representative for Council Districts 1 and 9. A little bit of context and background to me. I was an intern at the mayor's office for about 2 years before I moved into this position. And I also have a few experience at Council District 3 as their intern. And then I was also at the Downtown Partnership working alongside their team as well. So been around the city a little bit, know quite a few things about it, but still trying to grasp an understanding specifically on Council District 9 issues. So I'm more than happy to connect with y'all one-on-one if there's any specific issues you're seeing in your neighborhood, or you would like to just talk to me about anything else. I'll provide my contact information, my phone number in the group, in the chat below, so y'all have access to that. Did want to provide a brief report. Our streetlights crew were actually in Council District 9 this past month. So they were here from August 1st to September 5th, and they were able to clear 216 streetlight service requests. Obviously, there's still a lot left to do. The backlog that they were at decreased to by 139 when they were here. So if there's any streetlights that you are seeing outstanding that you would like to flag for me, please do so. They will be coming back out in January. So if you have any streetlights, like you said, that you want to flag, please note that to me, give me the get it done number or the address and location of the place, and I will be more than happy to flag that for streetlight crews. Just get that to me before January 1st so that I can go ahead and send that to them in a timely manner. In addition to that, I did want to note a few action items and informational items that came to council these past 2 weeks. As you all know, we do have 3 shelters that are closing, 2 at the end of this year and then 1 next year. In preparation for that, the homelessness strategies and solutions department provided an informational item to the council's last 2 weeks ago, providing potential sited locations and what we could do with the current existing programs that we have right now. What came about that last week is the expansion of our safe sleeping and our safe parking programs. So we are able to now expand 20th and B lot and O lot, expanding it to an additional 53 spaces for the Dreams for Change at 20th and B, and then an additional 82 spaces at the Downtown Partnership O lot. And so we'll be seeing a lot of those expansions in the coming months. And then in addition to that, we're getting 200 new spots at the H Barracks proposed site location. So that's what came about this past week in terms of addressing the beds that we will be losing at those shelter sites. Obviously, this is a short-term action plan. The city and the councils are working very diligently to address not only the short-term, but the medium-term and long-term issues that we have with homelessness. So please be on the lookout for additional cited locations that the council is looking to propose. We're looking at locations all throughout 9 districts, so it's not going to be specifically one place. But for now, that is the expansions that we'll be seeing in the city to address those shortcomings. And additionally, I wanted to note in terms of road repair, not to say that there isn't a lot left to do, but in the past month, we were able to repair, not in the past month, but in the past 3 years, up until this month, the city was able to repair 1,650 miles of street repair. There's still a lot less to do. So if you have any concerns or issues or would like to know if the street that you are specifically concerned with is scheduled to be paved, is currently on our unfunded list, or is not even on the schedule, please reach out to me and I can go ahead and discuss with you what that plan looks like and what that prioritization may look like in terms of you making sure that street gets repaved. Of course, I will always encourage, and I'm sure Roberto will go through this, that the budget survey is out for the council district. So please encourage you to fill out and express your concerns on there as well, so that your priorities are, your concerns and your priorities are prioritized in the upcoming budget season. But that is all the updates that I do have for y'all. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll be here till the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, let's move on. And I'm going to honor a special request from Mr. Sam Gonzalez, who has to leave. Sam is from Dr. Akila Weber's office.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. We've been kind of busy this summer. I sent Lynn a full message of updates. Hopefully she can share that with you guys. I'll go over the main ones. So this Thursday, October 10th from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. we have a senior health and wellness workshop hosted by our senior advisory council. So Dr. Weber decided this year to have a council of seniors from the community to give advice and to organize events on her behalf. And so this is one of their first events. We invite you guys to attend. Again, it's from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at George Stevens Senior Center. You can RSVP, I think you have to RSVP, or you can call 619-465-7903. Someone will answer the phone. That'll probably be me, and I'll just register you for the event. It's a free event as well. Any questions on that?
Can you repeat the date, please?
Yeah,
Thank
October,
you.
this Thursday, October 10th,
Thank
10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Stevens Center. That's the first update I have. The second update, and I left a couple flyers over there along with my business cards, is our turkey giveaway event. It's our last event of the year. As you may or may not know, Dr. Weber is running for a different office. Why is that relevant? Oh, so because she's moving to a different office, that means she won't be representing the 79th Assembly District next year. That also means that you may not see me next year. So next month will be the last time I'll be here to give an update. And for any future follow-ups, you may get a new rep. But the turkey giveaway is Saturday, the 3rd from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you're a constituent of the 79th District, you get the first hour reserved for you. After that, it's open game for everyone. We recommend you go online or call our office to RSVP a spot. RSVPs do not guarantee a turkey. They just guarantee that you have that first window available to you. It'll be at Turkey Point Elementary at the Joint Use Field, 35 38th Street, San Diego, California, 92105. So that's in City Heights. And as you may know, that place is very, very crowded. So if you're gonna try and get there, we recommend using public transportation or just get dropped off because it's gonna get busy. We have reportedly about 100,000 turkeys plus. So we're hoping that number doesn't change. Saturday, again, November 23rd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Flyers over there. Any questions on that? Cool.
I have a question that
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with that.
Absolutely.
What is she running for and why is she changing?
She's running for state senator District 39. She's running, well, I can only give you the factual information, right? So she's running because that seat will be open and that seat is currently held by Tony Atkins and she's turned out. So she's moving for that. I have to be tread carefully here because I'm not exactly campaign staff. So, and I can't in my position, talk or encourage voting for her. But from my understanding, working with her, she just wants to stay in the field, working for constituents. And, I don't think if the seat would have opened, she'd probably stay in assembly and continue working there.
So she hasn't timed out of assembly.
No, she has about 10 years left in both the state and the assembly. So before legislation a couple years ago passed, assembly members could run indefinitely, as well as state senators. But now there's a cap. So there's 12 years in state service. So she has 12 years total. She served about 3 of those already, or 2 or 3 of those. So she'd have like about 9 remaining if she wins at the state senate.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Mhm.
Any other questions pertaining to state related issues? Anything I can talk about? Nothing.
Will you come back one last time next?
I will. Yeah, no, I was looking at my calendar, making sure it's not like election day. On the 5th.
No, it'll be.
It'll be the next week, so I'll be free for that. So looking forward to saying goodbye and answering any questions. If there's any last minute state questions, feel free to ask now, or you have my email over there. We can follow up. Awesome.
Cool,
Thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Yes, appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you very much, Sam.
Go over her mother's stuff.
Okay, next up is Karen Montefort Federico, and Karen is from County Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp's office. Hi, Karen.
Hi, everyone. Senior Community Rep for Supervisor Montgomery Stepp. Please contact me for any county-related issues. My email is on the agenda, so you can contact me using that email. Some updates. I'll be very quick. Some policy updates on August 27th. The county supported the supervisor's board letter to enhance equity and community strength through procurement and technical assistance programs, essentially streamlining the process for nonprofits and small businesses to partner with the county. This also increases the contract percentage that the county can partner with small businesses and nonprofits. On the Tuesday, September 24th meeting, we received an update on the supervisor's board letter to execute an agreement for the partnership with the University of California, San Diego Health for behavioral health services within the East Campus Medical Center. This would provide services for Medi-Cal beneficiaries within the specialty mental health system, including approximately 30 dedicated psychiatric acute inpatient beds and a crisis stabilization unit. These are the type of beds that we are very low on and in need of. So we're really happy to see this moving forward with UCSD Health. On Wednesday, September 25th, we had a notice public hearing, essentially getting an update that the county participates in FEMA's voluntary incentive community rating system program, which currently enables eligible property owners to receive annual flood insurance at a 20% reduced rate. Additionally, in regards to flood issues, we have seen 7 storm drain emergency repairs done in the unincorporated areas of communities of Casa de Oro, just east of where you all are at in eastern area. Let's see what else. As you all know, we have, you may not know, we do have a newsletter. We encourage you to sign up via our website, supervisormonicamontgomerystep.com. As I think I shared at a previous meeting, we do have 2 grant award cycles. One for neighborhood reinvestment program, which focuses on one-time needs in the areas of community, social, environmental, educational, cultural, or recreational projects. And then 2, the community enhancement project, which is focused on stimulating tourism, promoting the economy, jobs, and improving the quality of life. We are accepting applications for our second round, which will be evaluated on April 1st, 2025. We just closed our first deadline on October 1st, and we are currently reviewing those grants. And then lastly, do just want to share that there is a dementia skills and resource fair happening this Saturday, October 12th, 10 a.m. at Grossmont Healthcare District Health and Wellness Library. So that is it for me. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Karen? Okay, if not, Karen, thank you. And I want to thank you for your help with our vaccine clinic, the referrals that you provided with that for us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Roberto Marin, who is a representative for District 9, Council Member Ela Rivera's office. Roberto, you're up.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Roberto Marin, Community Rep for Council President Sean Ela Rivera. Wanted to give you extensive updates. The first being Streamview Phase 2. We did receive an inquiry from a constituent just checking in on that. So we decided to see what the status was. The project currently is still fully funded. The department, meaning engineering capital improvement projects, will be having a revised cost estimate, but they have assured me in writing if there are any increases, they will be identifying sources of additional funding. So regardless, this project is fully funded and is on track to start. They did mention that they will be coming back to this same board in the spring of 2025 to get the final design phase completed. And then after that, within the summer, they'll be advertising the project for construction, and they will start construction in winter of 2025. So basically a year out from now. As you know, there is also speed signs that were installed. I know District 4 was working on that. I know Bruce was working on it as well. But they have installed that. If folks didn't know, they installed 3 of them and roundabouts as well. A couple other flags. We do have an updated number, and I mentioned to Lynn this afternoon on the trees. Right now, I believe we're at I think 70. Yeah, we're at 70 trees as of today. We're still working through details. As you know, these things take time, but I did get a number, and that is 70. We are also putting an asterisk on that because we want to just triple check that everyone's getting some trees. So we will be checking on that, but excited for 60 more trees that we're going to be incorporating all that. So as mentioned last time, it's thanks to all y'all's work. The next thing that we will be I will be talking about, it was mentioned earlier, I kind of came a little late, but was the ADU issue on Boren. I just want to make it clear, I want to be honest, we have no role in controlling that. Like I can't, nor can the council member go in there and tell them to stop building that. So I want to set real expectations and honest expectations. As you know me, I'm honest. We cannot do that. So we're letting the experts take care of that. Whether we agree with them or not, that's a debate for another day, right? We can always ask to inquire on certain things, for example, the traffic, the parking, etc. But they don't serve us. They don't serve our council office. So if they say no, that is it. There's nothing that we could do. And so I just want to be transparent and honest. As mentioned by Russ, we've been having communication with Russ and Linda. There have been plans permitted, but they are pending approval through a lengthy process that I do not have a timeline for. So just we will stay on top of this and make sure that we get some questions or answers to folks' questions. But I just want to make it clear, if they decide that this is a green light, that is what it is. The council president has made it very clear that we are in a housing crisis. We are still in a housing crisis. But he also has said that he would like to revisit the ADU bonus program and maybe tighten it up a little bit. So that is something that we're not looking at right now, but that is something we might do in the future. But I just wanted to give that particular update. I do know in terms of Rolando Village, we have Aragon and Elkhorn Boulevard going to be receiving some sort of enhanced crosswalk. That was reported out from my colleague Jeffrey. So we will be looking at that as well and looking towards the future. A couple other things I lastly mentioned, as Fatima mentioned, we have our budget survey. We had over close to 400 folks give their input for our budget memo. That is still on a rolling basis right now. So just because it said September 20th, we are still taking input. We'll be putting that in our newsletters, and feel free to be looking for that. I think that is it for me. Do we have any questions?
I'm going to start with the one that's online first. Kathleen, you had a question for Roberto?
Thank you. Yes, Roberta, could you be a little more specific when you say we don't have any control over that, they do? Who's they?
The Development Services Department. Again, I'm not an expert in development services nor in land use. The council member is not an expert in that. Just like in any sort of thing, potholes, encampments, right? We can always ask to do things, and we always partner with the mayor's office, and they've been very helpful. But again, that is a departmental level. Remember, city council is an advisory group. They are not mandated or nor have the authority to tell staff what to do. So I want to remind folks that, because we kind of get lost in the sauce sometimes when we say, Sean has the power to do this, right? He doesn't. Again, a good example of that is the College Rolando Library. He has no authority to stop that project. We have made our asks on what parking would look like, and we're working through that as I don't know if you know, but Jeffrey has mentioned that Reservoir Drive will be getting allotted parking for the library. So that was an ask that we made. But again, moving back to your question, that is what I mean. I cannot go down to the Department of Development Services and demand them that they stop this project, nor can the council president. That is not how things work. It is a little frustrating. We understand that, but that is what I mean by we have no control. We can always advocate. We always go as hard as we can. But again, there is always limitations to everything.
But they are, with all due respect, they are city employees that serve at the pleasure of the mayor and the city council. If the city council and the mayor wanted to make some changes, they absolutely could.
And they can. And that is something that I've mentioned right here in this forum that we will be doing and looking into.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions here, Bettina?
Hi, Roberto. Just a point of clarification on the trees. Are those trees for Streamview Drive or were you referring to University Avenue?
Thank you. Sorry, I should have been more clear.
Okay,
That
that's
is for University Avenue tree
Okay.
project. Streamview is from what I understand, all the incorporated landscape that was literally from this group is still there. That nothing has been cut out, nothing has been altered. So that is staying in place. And as again, it's actually a little bit ahead of schedule and it's fully funded. So I know folks and Streamview are probably sick and tired of hearing the zillion reps say it's coming, but I have it in writing and it is coming. So I just want to make that assurance to folks. Yeah, because trust me, I've heard that many times already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Roberta? District 9, sir.
Yes. Who's responsible for White Street parking lot by the library?
Roberta, do you know that?
Can you repeat the question? It was really hard to hear the gentleman.
Who's responsible for the municipal parking lot by the library and the rec field there?
What do you it's twofold question. There's the city and then there's which is city parking, which is in between the shopping center and the library. And then there's the parking lot that a lot of people mention that is private property.
Whose property?
It's private property. It's the shopping centers.
White
Are you talking
Street?
about are you talking about the parking lot that is at El Super? We have the Starbucks and all that. Is that what you're talking about?
The one that's by the rec field.
City Heights Library.
Yeah, so if it's next adjacent to the fields, that is public and that is city-owned property.
Well, somebody needs to go through there and remove a lot of those campers because you go through there, you have to navigate to get through there at times. And it hasn't been cleaned up at all. The other two parking lots have been cleaned and that one has not been cleaned.
Yeah, so I know that's out of this jurisdiction. I'll touch a little bit on it, but there is called the OVO code and the vehicle habitation ordinance is very hard to enforce unless there is a crime committed along with them staying there. They can take a proactive enforcement. Again, if that is not the case, they still go through progressive enforcement. It is really hard for our police officers to do their jobs. And so what we try to do is try to elevate, try to get on top of it as soon as we can. But the problem is they move literally from one parking spot to the next. And technically that is okay right now.
Once been parked there for a month.
Again, they cannot just tow a vehicle. There is a legal settlement that the city is in currently that prohibits the city and particularly the police department from doing that job. So there is limitations. I'm happy to chat with you offline. Lynn has my contact information. I'm not the rep for that specific area, but I'm happy to get my colleague involved in that. We do have a working group with the shopping center and with the city, Parks and Rec, SDPD, and we're working through those issues currently. But happy to connect with you offline. John, do you have a question? No?
I didn't.
Sorry, maybe seeing things.
Moving on, thank you. Last up is Bruce Williams, a rep from District 4 from Henry Foster III's office.
Yes. Right, I'm in the
You may.
first shoot here.
I'm in the
Sure,
circle.
just don't trip over a wire. It might be an OSHA violation.
Greetings all, Bruce Williams representing Councilmember Henry Foster III, Fourth City Council District. Good to be with you. Couple of items I want to share with you. One, tomorrow at 2 p.m. in the Active Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, they will hear one of the items related to the Oak Park Library. The subject of tomorrow's discussion, this discussion item will be about the award of the design build phase funded contract with Barnhart Reese Construction for the Oak Park Library project. Basically, they will be approving phase 1, which is about $4.6 million. And once that is cleared, it'll go to the full council. So just want to commend those folks at the Oak Park Library, the Friends of the Oak Park Library. They're doing an amazing job encouraging people to visit the library. In fact, on this coming Saturday, October the 12th, from 11 to 1, there is an event called Reaching for the Stars, Nostra Cultura, and they're celebrating the Nostra Cultura at our family fiesta. And one of the cool things about this is that they've had a contest for students at, I believe it's Darnell School and Oak Park School, and they're going to be awarding some essays, as well as a gentleman who was an astronaut, a Hispanic astronaut, will be there and virtually to talk to the children. So please, if you can go to that to support the library, I think you'll see several elected officials there, and we hope you come and have a great time. And again, we commend the Friends of the Oak Park Library. October is Kids Free Month, San Diego. Kids age 12 and under receive free admission with a paid adult to more than 50 of San Diego County's favorite museums, historic sites, aquariums, gardens, and more. And you just need to visit San Diego Museum Council.org for more information. And I'm going to be short today. Don't forget, District 4 folks, to use the Get It Done app. And if you want to meet with the council member, you can do that on Fridays, 1:30 to 5 to 4:30. And you can just contact our office, ssanchez.gov, ssanchez@sandiego.gov to set up an appointment. Any questions? Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Do you know which design won the library bid? It was 1 or 2?
It was, was it 1?
It was
Yes.
1.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing is, do you know anything about the walk on 805 on Saturday?
Oh.
Are they closing a section of 805 for us to walk on it?
Not sure about that one.
I can see it.
Maybe Roberto knows. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'll have to check it out.
We're also
NATO.
Caltrans, perhaps, state folks.
Just to
I hope
give you a
it's north
chance
of-
to walk on a freeway, I think. It's a community outreach, I thought,
I think 1 or 2 years ago, we were
Yeah.
able to do that on
on the bridge.
On the bridge.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I think I thought they were doing that again this weekend.
Caltrans did not allow, inform our office.
Okay,
Check it out.
all right. Thank you.
Bruce, I have a question, and that's regarding the acreage for the new public library. Do you know when that? 'Cause there's a parking lot involved as well as the,
Yes.
and all of these are park points. And we want to make sure that that's actually deducted from the park points in the community plan update. Make room for more parks in
True.
eastern area.
Yes.
Okay, let me find that out, Lynn, and I'll get back to you. I'll be out there. I'll be back there.
Okay,
Research.
thank you.
Sorry, really
Ah.
quickly, do you know what the phase 1 includes?
Phase 1, 1 second. Phase 1 will include design and let's see. Phase 1, design and construction of the new Oak Park Library.
Wow.
So
For less than 5 million?
no, it's not construction. Hold on a second here. The total, by the way, is $34.9 million.
Went up.
And so phase
What's
1
32.
is 4.6 million, and tells what the fund is. And you know what? I've got to I'll find that out while I'm here too. So I got my homework. Won't leave till I get this answer, okay?
We're not gonna let you read.
Okay.
Lock all the doors.
Any more questions for Bruce? Thanks.
He's got enough questions.
Excited to see that library get up.
He's got enough questions to get to.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Bruce. All right,
Difficult
we're moving
questions
on
yet.
to our next, our information item tonight, and Keith Van Wager is from the County of San Diego's Public Records Act Union, and he's going to give us a presentation tonight on requesting public records from the county. Hi, Keith.
Hi, 1 second and I'll pull up a slideshow. Hopefully I can share screen with you all. because if not, it's going to be a really weird presentation.
It's gonna be very brief, so.
So if you can see that, let me know, please.
Yes.
All right. So good evening. My name is Keith Van Wagner. I'm a group program manager with the County of San Diego's Public Records Act unit, and we just wanted to talk about the Public Records Act in case you're unfamiliar with it, the county's recent centralization of it, and resources to better understand both of those. Oops. So the California Public Records Act is basically found in Government Code Section 7920.000. And what it says is that everyone has the right to inspect records and promptly. This is basically a logical extension of the Brown Act, where not only do we want to have all of the decisions made out in the open, but we want all of the information regarding those decisions and other things that are happening, like how those decisions are implemented, to also be public records. And so what the code says is that within 10 days of asking for records, not calendar days, not business days, you should be getting a response from whatever government entity you're asking. And the response should either be, we have those records, we don't have those records, we have them and you can't have them for whatever reason, or we're still looking into it. And if you're getting a message saying you're still looking into it, that's because the government entity has so many records that they actually don't know if these particular ones you're asking for exist, but they will let you know. And once you get, or once you submit a Public Records Act request, you'll get that response within 10 calendar days, excuse me, like I said. And if you are asking for records that you're allowed to have, then you'll be getting those as well. And so that kind of goes to the question of what exactly a record is. In this context, we're talking about any writing containing information related to the conduct of the public's business prepared, owned, used, or retained by any state or local agency, regardless of physical form or characteristics. This is also subject to retention laws. And so if you're looking for a record that had a 2-year retention time frame, right? It's supposed to be destroyed after being held onto for 2 years, and 4 years after the fact, you're looking for that particular record, you're probably not going to be able to get it because it's been destroyed. And things that, so given that very broad description of what records are, there's a few things that you shouldn't actually be asking for. The California Public Records Act has over 75 express exemptions. So you're not going to be able to get people's personal identifying information, anything regarding attorney-client privilege, deliberative process, things of that nature. So you shouldn't ask for those if you're aware that you're not going to be able to get them. You also should try to avoid asking for things that we already have out in the public. We've put together a really comprehensive list of all of the County of San Diego's online resources for records, which can be found at that link, and I'll share this slideshow with you all after I'm done. So you should, look at that because the information you might be seeking could be out there already in a publicly available forum. And finally, you shouldn't be asking for things that are specifically available to you. So if you wanted to find out a list of all of the books that you have checked out at the library, that wouldn't be a Public Records Act request. That would be something that is available to you because it's your information. But if you wanted a list of all of the books that were checked out of the library or all of the overdue fees that were paid this year, that's something that you could put a Public Records Act request in for because that's more of the onus behind the law. So let's say that you really want to request records. First, you would go to the county's Public Records Request Center, which are the images on the right that you're seeing. And basically, that's just a comprehensive website with the previous mentioned data portals, our frequently asked questions, a kind of a how-to guide for asking questions or for submitting records requests through our online portal. And once you've gone and looked at all the information out there, if what you're looking for isn't there, then go look at our other requests that we've already answered. Our system has been live since March 21st, and every request that has been submitted and that we've finalized is publicly available. And so you can look through those, and there's a possibility that something you're looking for is already out there. However, if you get that far and you just can't find what you're looking for, you really want to know about everyone's library books, then go ahead and make a Public Records Act request. And so, okay, weird. All right, so once you do that, it'll take you to a website that looks very much like this. And what this is the home screen for when you're making a request. In that big white box there under request description, we just ask that you be as descriptive and thorough as possible in how you're describing your request. We've built in a number of alerts, which is the yellow box at the bottom, so that if you use a keyword or keywords, then something will pop up that says, hey, you know, it looks like you're looking for the Public Health Services Department. Maybe you should select them as the department. And what that does is enables us to get those requests to the correct individuals faster. And it also, the more information you put in your request, the better, because in my team, a team of 3 who looks at every single request coming in has a better idea of who to get it to, because we are not 100% familiar with every single thing that the county does. There's a lot of stuff out there. We're learning a ton. But the more information you have, the better the chances are that we'll get it right on the first shot. On top of that, the informational boxes might also have a link to an external municipality's website. If you're looking for things related to the court system, there's a link that'll pop up redirecting you where you need to go there. But you should also avoid putting personal information into that box, because the nature of your request is going to, I'm sorry, the description of your request is going to be made public once you close it. Sorry. And so that's also highlighted in the gray box on the right. That's sort of a broader view of the image before. And that just has a bunch of updates and information that we'd like everyone to read. If possible, I'm going to guess that a lot of people don't read them because it's text, but if you have the time, please go ahead and read it. There's useful information, as I said, predominantly that your description, not the information about you, the requester, but the nature of the request itself is going to be publicly released, and that's going to happen 72 hours after we close your request. So if we gather all the documents you've asked for, we send them to you, we close your request, you have those documents for 72 hours before everyone else in the world can look at them. And that just gives you the ability to view the information prior to everyone else knowing that you asked for it. Well, not knowing that you asked for it, but knowing that it was asked and knowing what the response is. And so you can, as I mentioned, you can choose the department that you're trying to get to. If you're not familiar with the department, you can leave it blank. As I said, my team will handle all of the requests that come in. We'll do our best to get them to the appropriate individuals. One thing that you can do is submit requests anonymously. If you don't want anyone to know that you're the individual submitting this request, and by anyone, I mean my team and other members of the county who are processing it, that's okay. We don't mind that. What we would like you to do is include an email address. And that's because if the nature of your request makes no sense to us, or we need clarification or to narrow the scope, or just some back and forth dialogue, we can't reach you unless you include an email address. So make up whatever email address you want, just make sure that you're looking at it. So if we have questions, we can reach out. So these are all the links that I included in the slideshow in case you just wanted them all on one page. There's a lot of good resources. The one on the bottom is the calcities.org Guide to California Public Records Act, and the act itself is long. It's got a lot of legalese, but this is a really good summary of what's included, what things you're generally allowed to get, what things you can't get due to exemptions. And that's the number one guide that my team uses every time we have questions regarding the specific sections of the CPRA or the just kind of what exemptions make sense in that situation. And so if anyone's interested in more information, I would really suggest you go there. That's it for my slideshow. If you have any questions, I'm here until you're bored of asking questions. If you don't feel like this is a forum that you want to raise them in, you can always send an email to me and my team at cobrecords@sdcounty.ca.gov.
Okay, thank you very much. Start. I do have one question right away, Jen.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I'm Jen. I'm wondering if the county covers everything within the city limits. Like if the city owns property and I want to know more about a potential building, how would I find out if there were other locations checked? Like if there were other locations looked at, and would the county PRA know that?
I think the answer to that is yes, because the APN of the property, the parcel number, is something that is either in the city's registry or other cities within the county's registry, or it's unincorporated or some of the area that the county has. One of the links in our data portal list actually lets you look that information up. But if you can't find it or you're still not sure, you can always submit a PRA. We'll get it to the right department, and they're very responsive on that one, and they'll let you know if it's something that we have records on or we don't. As far as submitting a Public Records Act request through our forum, if it also touches on the city, we'll most likely provide you with the information to reach out to the city as well, in case you don't have that.
Okay, if the city is non-responsive about a particular parcel, can I come back to you and say, I need you to dig deeper?
You are always welcome to, but if it's something that we don't have records on, we can't really dig much deeper in that regard. I will point out that the California Public Records Act has a litigation section involved where if a government agency is not responding in a manner that you feel is appropriate, either by time delays or giving you that information, then you may seek litigation, including attorney's fees, should you prevail in that litigation.
Oh, thank you so much, Keith. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other questions here? Andy?
Is there a fee for the final product that's produced by you?
Only if for some reason you demand physical copies, and then you would come in and get them. But the information that we release online is all electronic, and we do not charge whatsoever for that. I will say that certain records requests throughout the counties are subject to our fee schedule, which is set by our auditor and controller, and things like birth certificates, which is the first one that comes to mind. Those have a statutory fee that are associated with them, so we can't just give those out for free.
Thank you. Any other questions? Keith? Thank you. Thank you very much, Keith. And did you say you'll make this presentation available?
I will send it as soon as I get off this call.
All right. Works for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, that was pretty interesting because right in the middle of his presentation, my computer decided to reboot.
Oh.
I'm sitting here going, it magically rebooted, went right back into Zoom, and we didn't lose anybody. So otherwise the meeting would have to come to a halt, screeching halt. All right, we have an action item tonight. So let's move on to that. I did send out some background information to everybody in addition to the letter, so everyone understands. First of all, this was a request from the Choice Valley Planning Group for us to join them and City Heights Planning Group in sending a letter of inquiry to city and county government officials. I think we all know Mr. Javier's been here a few times. He's also been to the Choice Valley Planning Group. He's been to the City Heights Planning Group. And most recently, I noticed that at a city council meeting, he was speaking during non-agenda public comments. I've seen him at the Land Use Commission meeting.
EPC.
Yes, all of the above. So he did, when he initially came to us, it looked like it was just Caesar and his wife. But he did go out and collect signatures. He has a petition, which I think you saw, there's 30 names on there in addition to his. So it's sort of hard to just say there's nothing there, because if you look at the code enforcement records, the county air pollution inspector's been out there 3 times and closed it down each time because they don't see any issues there. But because 32 people do think there's an issue there, and we've simply been asked by Choice Valley Planning Group to sign on to a letter to ask someone to take another look at it, a second look. And it's open for discussion.
I make a motion, we support Choice to look further into the pollution.
Do we want the letter to go as is?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So I just have some questions. I think it would be beneficial to have a little bit of research done and provide some backup for the claims, just to make this. I mean, if this is really happening, which I've never heard of this before, and I've lived here for 50 years. I think just a little bit of research, like you know, when they refer to suffering health issues, okay. Research what health issues are caused by this and, state the references. They also, refer to particular, toxins, silica dust, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide. I think also this could benefit from some research and providing the references for the information found as to, this specific type of kiln, what are the exact toxins that are released. I was wondering about Roberto's previous mentioning of this and that they had it been inspected and nothing happened. So where does that play into this? How does that play into this? Those are my main concerns. My other concerns are for the particular individual. If that person's using this as their sole source of income, I don't really know. Is it a hobby? Is it an actual source of income? If they're going to get shut down. If they've been allowed to do this, they've been inspected by code enforcement 3 times and code enforcement closed it. If this is their source of income and they get closed down, what does that mean for them? So those are my concerns.
I think they've had their first business license. They've been licensed since 1984.
Yeah, they've been licensed for a long time.
So it is an actual business that they're earning their living off of. So we don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah, I'm just curious about those things.
Is that residential area? Are you allowed to have a business in residential area? And is there any reason why you couldn't have business in that residential area? If I were on my street were, making, I don't know, racing car frames and I had trucks backing up to, that kind of thing. And would that be okay as opposed to my making, model cars, selling both of them? I don't know what the city allows business wise, what's the production of this place? Is the guy making or whoever owns it making 10 pots a day, or are they making 4,000?
Yeah, I'd like to understand. I mean, I haven't seen the property. Has anybody seen the property?
No.
I drove by and looked at it. It's just an ordinary residence.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, you would not know.
Yeah.
If there's anything going on there.
Yeah, because I
But let's
mean,
do it that
as a
way.
homeowner, you can have a kiln. I know potters that
Yeah.
have them in their garages.
Yeah, same here. I've heard of it in backyards even.
Yeah.
I mean, there certainly are toxic things that you can burn that probably do release stuff, but if they've been inspected, it's kind of a head scratcher as to.
Yeah.
But there also people may say, "Oh, this is all we're using," and then the minute the cops leave, you're back to doing whatever you're doing.
True.
So yeah, it's if you were there and you smelled something, when I was young, I grew up in out in East County, and there was forever and ever there were chicken farms out there, and then all of a sudden, somebody built houses downwind of chicken farms, and all the people who bought their houses were like, "We got to close these chicken farms down."
Yeah.
So it's like, there was nothing poisonous about the chickens, but there was the smell of the chickens. And is that the problem here? Is the guy smelling stuff, or is it, is there dust coming in his windows from the drying clay? Those may not be things that the county goes, "Oh yeah, that's a terrible situation," but it may be a hassle for the people.
Well, it could be a nuisance. If
Yeah.
it's a nuisance,
Yeah,
then
that
it could
happened
be
at a
something.
chicken ranch.
Yeah, I
In
grew
Lakeside.
up in Lakeside.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I know.
It was, You
there's
workers.
32 people have signed. It
There
makes
were-
me
it was-
wonder if it's affecting other people to
Yeah,
your
they
point.
lost 3,000
Maybe
there.
more of a
Or
nuisance
this
than
is
maybe a
probably
danger.
Yeah,
Right.
like, I mean. go
They
ahead.
still there?
Can we ask Roberto? What
Rick
do
is
you,
still-
do you know?
Not the one, I'm not the one that.
Roberto, are you
Hubert
on?
is still there.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
you listening to this conversation? Do you want to provide any background information about this?
Sure, and it's really important to state the facts, because, you know, with any decision, it's important to rely on those. The facts are the state's own, I believe, substance and I think toxic department / unit, I don't know the acronym, went out there.
EACPC?
Yes, they
Yeah.
went 3 separate times at 3 separate days and at 3 separate time zones. So it wasn't like the same at 2 p.m. It was like, I believe, speaking with Sam Gonzalez, the rep, it was like at 7 a.m. Another one was like at 3 p.m. Another one was like at 8 p.m. So it was very wide in scope. I think they were there for like an hour, and they found nothing. This has been brought up to the Air Pollution Control District. You know, the council member sits on that board, and when this first happened, he actually had them inquire on it. Again, no traceable levels of any sort of thing. And lastly, DSD, they have actually, you know, done 3 code enforcement reports with nothing. The claims were unsubstantiated. And lastly, this is very key because I think sometimes people don't understand. Code enforcement is actively investigating Mr. Javier for other code enforcement violations of fencing and zoning. So I just want to make, those are the facts. I'll let you guys decide on what y'all want to do, but we have done our due diligence from Ben Mendoza when they were repping the area to Marta Zapata, now me. It's gone through 3 years of vetting and there has been absolutely nothing. So that is the facts. I'm happy to give more context if needed, but
Just a second, Laura.
Roberto, you mentioned, complaints, on, against the guy who's been complaining. Were those, could you expound on that? I don't understand.
Yeah. So fencing, right? So you can't have certain fencing. Obviously, if you're building something unpermitted, right? That is also something. For example, if you're building an ADU without a permit, right? I think he was trying to build something around like a cottage or something like that, and was investigated for that. So it's a lot of not like major permitting or code enforcement violations, but DSD has told me that they've had neighbors, which is, hearing this conversation a little weird because some neighbors have complained about him to like code enforcement. So I'm just mind boggled that he got 32 signatures. That's totally fine, but that's what I mean. So fencing violations, putting barbed wire.
Well,
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
John, you had a.
Well, my question was to follow up. Is the person running the ceramics business the person who has been complaining about Javier?
No, it's actually someone on top of the hill.
Okay.
Actually,
So-
yes, it's actually.
Where it would be the kind of thing where you make complaints about each other and
Yeah.
well, somebody moves out and that's what, you know.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. There's no evidence of that. In terms of the kiln business owner, I believe when Martha was there and handed it off to me, and when Ben was there, they mentioned that they only make a couple of ceramic pieces a day. So they're not a mass producer. They're not making 4,000. They're making literally like, I believe, like 4 or 5 a day. And it's like a person that does it just to make some extra income, as Bettina mentioned, and is very peaceful and quiet, and takes a lot of precautions actually to mitigate any sort of inconvenience that it might bring, right? So that is from my understanding of conversations with staff in the past. So yeah.
Thanks, Roberto. That's
Yeah,
helpful.
thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries.
Any other questions?
Just, Roberta, this letter, that's sort of been drafted talks about all sorts of,
administrative laws and conformity. Those are all things that are included in all the investigations that have been done. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. So when we initially got this inquiry, we asked for every avenue, obviously because it was our first time and we wanted to check all the boxes. And yes, that included like administrative and external review of certain things. And I know Mr. Javier is, I've met with him, I like know him and think he means well. I don't think he understands like how things work, which is fine. But yeah, that's kind of the context I can give you is that that all avenues have been explored. I even was willing to let Lynn know, like, I'm willing to provide the emails so you guys can comb through them. If you want to, I'm willing to do that. I don't mind. But also I would have to ask staff to see if they're okay with that, because obviously some of that email is from city staff. But yeah, happy to conversate that if we need to. But you know me, I'm always willing to share anything and everything. I have nothing to hide. I'm not making any gains here, so.
And this, sorry,
It's okay.
this property is not actually in the eastern area, right?
No, it's in City
So
Heights.
they're asking for supporting, like for us to support them.
Right. Yeah. Right. They are also asking City Heights, which is where this property is. Emily?
The letter alludes to Mr. and Mrs. Javier and their neighbors that also experience health difficulties who are not named.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, without some more substantial.
Yeah, we need something to tie the.
Yeah.
You know, they need something to tie.
If there's
some
50 people with
evidence, something.
breathing issues, then
Otherwise it.
sure, but
Yeah, I'll just say I'm very uncomfortable with it.
yeah.
Me too.
And I always have been.
I wonder, as a new person, I don't mean to start anything, but isn't it kind of our job to support the community councils though? And if they're asking us to just do a review, isn't that? on
They're
us
asking us to
support
put our name on this
Yeah.
letter, asking for stuff that's already been done.
to support them though, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the part of it, I think, is it's Trace Valley. The property is in City Heights.
And they're not eastern area, but they're still District 4.
Right.
Do they
Troy's Valley is District 4.
Mm-hmm.
No, or does it just?
District 9.
It's District 9. Yes.
Troy Valley is
No,
Troy
it's
Valley is
District
District 4.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was in
it's District 4.
before and they've changed their name.
Oh, in Canton.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's south of 90.
Yeah.
And Canton is a way better
Point
name.
was that, the boundaries, the planning area boundaries are adjacent to the property. So there are 3 planning groups that sort of border this general area.
And we don't have any representation from that. So really, okay, got it. Okay, thanks.
And if you do if you are going to be supporting another planning group, you do want to make sure that you're comfortable with supporting what they're saying and that you agree with it. You don't just blindly support.
But if it was Webster or Oak Park, I would stand here and say, we should support that. I didn't realize it was out of our boundary. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, those are our communities.
Even if-
We support our communities.
Even if it were in our boundaries, though, we still have to ask the questions to
Yeah, I mean,
clarify.
yeah, it's not blindly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
because
just-
there's just blanket statements
Yeah.
that could benefit from, somebody doing a little bit of research to sort of connect the claims. I think it just would be beneficial than a blanket statement and no illness or something.
Question.
Roberto, do you have any idea or inkling as to what would be a satisfactory resolution for the complainter if the
That is a
Mr.
$1 million question. I don't know. Again, I will tell you, this person has gone to every planning group on the face of the planet. and I mean that literally, and people, yeah, and I just want to just point that people were like right there, like, oh yeah, we'll support it. And then I was like, I just want to give you the facts. This is like in City Heights. And they're like, what is he doing here? I'm like, I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. I don't, yeah. I don't know what he wants. I don't know if this is a vendetta. Again, it's a person. I just don't. What I can tell you is that we have done extensive research, outreach. We even had, I think at some point, the mayor's office help us out. Yeah, I don't know. I've asked him, like, what do you want to see? And he doesn't give me an answer. He just says, like, it's a threat. And I'm just like, well, I can't work with you if you don't tell me, like, something. So, and it's also hard because he says that we've done nothing, or them like that we've done zero. We've done no investigative, and that's false. So it's just hard for me to try to get something out of him when he's like locked in like a missile and is trying to like do something. I don't know. So but I would leave that up to your guys', voices and opinions. You guys are the board. I'm not, so.
Or he came to CPC with his wife, and he stated that she has been diagnosed with mental decline, and he is saying that he thinks that, and it's that he feels and believes that this kiln and the smell are directly related to her mental decline. And so I don't know how that's can be proven, one, and two, like John said, a smell of something isn't necessarily evidence. Just because you can smell something doesn't necessarily mean there's pollutants and toxins that are you're inhaling. So, and he's passionate, and I don't know how to.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's like if I smell a cheeseburger from John's house that he's cooking, right? Like, is that gonna affect me? Probably not. It might trigger me to go over to his house and have a burger with him. But yeah, like in anything, right? I live here in Logan Heights, and people, they grill, they they do all sorts of things here, but it's not, yeah, it's kind of inconvenient, but it's not something that it's a life or death situation. And the last point I want to make, because I know we're short on time, is I have personally canvassed the area. I've knocked on doors, knocked on various times, and every single person has told me, what are you talking about? Like, they're great. There's nothing going on. Otherwise, we would have told you a while ago. So those are the responses that I get when I like go door to door, and our office is not heard. Besides Mr. Javier, anyone else outside of that realm complain. Again, if that was the case, we would be having a different conversation. But we have done our due diligence in that matter.
Kristen?
I just had a question about the signatures. Are there addresses that go along with those, or is it just names? And
No, there's addresses.
and the addresses are in the actual neighborhood?
It looks like primarily Streamview Drive, Joyous Parkway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
I mean, maybe that's where we could start, is, I don't know, talking to those people or something and asking them what their complaint is. I don't know.
Does it fall to us to do it?
No,
I don't think that's us, right?
Yeah.
Or is there any?
Has the medical doctor ever examined this woman to see if it was related?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
We
that's,
don't know.
we need to,
We're not
that
gonna
information
know
we
that.
need to know.
Yeah,
That's,
We're not gonna do
Yeah.
that,
no, but I'm saying,
right?
to prove,
There'd be no
they
way
gotta
to-
prove that
It's
the
related.
doctor said this contributed to it.
I mean, elderly people.
Well, and then sometimes people get sick and you try to look for some reason.
Absolutely, of course you do.
The address,
35 something.
5238 Streamview Drive.
5238.
Yeah.
Greenview Drive.
I mean, I'm inclined to, Roberto gave us a lot of information, and he's here to serve the same community that we are. So I'm myself kind of accept what he told us and. I don't know, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
We're not an investigative body,
No.
so you can ask more information, but it sounds to me like we're not really on board with this, so I would just
Yes.
reject it for lack of sufficient basis, and if you want to present things to us, that's fine. But we shouldn't go asking or knocking on people's door.
Yeah.
Did you have this
Yeah.
issue? That seems really over the top.
Yes.
So
Especially since
just
it's,
on the basis of what's been submitted, we cannot sign on to this.
Yeah, it's unsubstantiated. I mean, there's no evidence.
Right, there's lots of claims, lots
Yeah.
of.
There's no there's no proof.
Right. But I would include in our decision that based on information from city staff and the investigations that have been done and the follow-up with licensing and air pollution and all of the measures that they have looked at, there's no evidence to support that the kiln is creating a problem.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And if they want to come back to us at a later date with more information, that would be fine.
What I would suggest, though, rather than make a definitive statement like that, just say, there's not enough here for us to act on. Rather than make a claim that, well.
Yeah.
based on
We
the
don't
evidence,
need more
we can-
information.
Because.
yeah.
So let's,
That's a report from the air
The
pollution.
petition fails for lack of evidence.
there's just not enough evidence
Right.
for us here. And if you want to come back at a future date with more
Yeah.
information, then we'd be happy to make it an agenda
And if
item
they ask
again.
for what we were interested in, then we can tell them,
Yes.
All right.
the doctor's report about this
That's what I'm
condition,
saying.
how is it attributed
Insufficient
to
evidence.
this, pollution and
Yeah.
so on and so forth, rather than just go, well, I think my wife's decline is based on this, right? I mean, environmental factors, it's complicated.
Yeah, it sure is.
And-
Could it cause
Air monitoring.
pollution for the
So,
car?
Alex, do you want to make a motion to that? And I'll.
Um,
I'll second
You made up.
Yeah.
I rest my case. Let's see, that, the EACPC, declines, the invitation to sign on to this,
The letter.
letter of
Inquiry.
inquiry, due to, lack of, substantiating evidence. We did, it's inconclusive. We don't know what to do with this.
And I will just say in the letter that if you want to provide more evidence, we would be happy to take it up at a future.
And we could also add that it appears, and maybe this is lower, it appears that many of the areas being asked to investigate have already been investigated. Something like that, right? That, there's no need to inquire about this because it's already been done.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
All right.
it seems like an exercise in futility rather than an honest inquiry because there's a real problem.
They even ask for how long the business has had its license and stuff, and we already know that
Right.
stuff.
Right.
So there were a lot of things in there that kind of asked and answered kind of situation.
Okay.
So Lynn, I have a question then.
Yes.
We will reply in a letter.
Yes, I will see
That'll-
everyone on it.
Okay,
I'll send it off
Okay.
to Andrea.
yeah.
And
So I'll second Alex's motion.
You already did. Second time.
roll call votes. Bob,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Jen,
Same.
Kristen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yeah.
oh, Richard's gone again. Sonia.
Yes.
All right. Passes with one abstention.
14, no, 11.
10,
Or 10.
And,
10 and one abstention.
okay,
Okay, thank you, everyone. Subcommittee reports. Community updates, 2 minutes each, please, only if you have something for your community to share.
Okay, do we wanna do
Raise your hand. Oh,
the
shoot.
minutes?
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry, minutes. The minutes, thank you. Do we have any corrections to the minutes, which I thank Richard for completing when he wasn't even here? That's how good the video is. He was able to do the minutes. Didn't have to be here.
I do have one.
Okay.
On page 2, information and action items, number 1.
Mhm.
So I think there's just a few extra words that make it a little confusing in one of the sentences. After a brief discussion on the height of the tree tower and the benefits of greater accessibility by residents, I think it should say the project would still be in compliance with and remove as well as.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Anybody else?
I'm the new Danielle.
Yeah.
She tasked me with this.
All right.
That was only one.
I know it was only one, but I did find one.
Could you send that to me in an email tomorrow? Because I'll.
I
update it.
absolutely will, yes.
Right. Any other changes? Motion to approve with change?
Second.
Second by Andy.
Made motion?
Yep. Motion to approve,
Oh,
Sonia did,
Okay.
and seconded by Andy. Roll call vote, Bob,
Yes.
John.
Yeah.
Alex.
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Bettina,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Kristen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Sonia.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, approved. Now we're on to the community.
I have one.
Anything to share?
Yes. Next Tuesday, Rolando Community Council is hosting Sean Elo Rivera and Terry Hoskins for a chat.
Is it a chat? A debate?
A debate?
I think it's a debate.
What day was that again?
Tuesday, the 15th at the United Domestic Workers Hall.
Is it, it's moderated?
It is, yes.
Where?
Yes.
where-
Moderated discussion. We'll go on. Yes,
Yeah.
at 6, doors open at 6 p.m.
Where is it?
at the United Domestic Workers Hall, 4833
That big blue
Seminole.
church.
It's a little stir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it used to be.
Right off the phone.
Right, right.
I encourage you to go.
Probably be entertaining and informative.
Yeah. Alex?
Yeah, and our next, go through the community council meeting, we're going to ask, the Friends of the College of Rolando Library to come talk to us because they're still in negotiations about parking, right? And there is that, option of parking on Reservoir Drive, but apparently they're in negotiation with a older property near the library, about an opportunity to expand the library's parking. So we'll have them come talk to us and, ask for our support in that endeavor. So
Happy
that
to
saga's
support
not yet
that.
over, although it's kind of like a zombie. It gets killed. and
Will not die.
So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's what'll happen at our next meeting. And we're actually moving our meeting night because we meet at the College of Rolando Library, but they close their doors on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Our meeting starts at 6:30, so we've been using their Wi-Fi, which cuts off at 8. So we're moving everything to Monday nights because they're open till 8 o'clock, which actually makes it much easier for us to get hooked up and not have the Zoom meeting collapse in the middle of some presentation. So we're going to be meeting the third Monday of every month from now.
Could you send that to me in an email so I can
What's that?
update the website, your new meeting night?
Oh,
Because
sure.
I won't remember it by the time I get home tonight.
No, for sure.
It's a long
Sure,
night.
remember the way
Yeah,
home.
no. So in fact, I'm gonna send out a message to the community tomorrow because no one else knows about it,
Yeah,
except the board and now you guys.
we just finalized it.
Yeah.
Anyone else? For that, Danielle's not here. Laura, the CPC meeting.
At the CPC, we heard more on Measure B, and we're all gonna be, all the people who are single-family homeowners are gonna be getting letters to vote on the approving the fee increase. And they don't even know what the fee is gonna be, and they don't expect to necessarily know or to even be able to propose a fee by the time the ballot goes out for all of us to vote yes or no on. And the decision's going to be made based on the number of ballots that went out. Say they send out 10,000 ballots. Of course, it's going to be more. I think it's in the 500,000 range, 500 to 600,000 range. But suppose there's 10,000 ballots and half of them are returned and 50 plus 1% of those say no. That's not enough of a threshold from that 50 plus 1 is only like 2,500 are saying no, and you won't meet the 50% plus 1 required threshold of the 10,000 that were mailed. So if not everybody votes, then it's likely to go ahead and be approved and pass. And they also are very firm in saying that this could be a huge benefit because we would be able to have extra things like these large item pickups. We might be able to say, hey, we want a large item pickup quarterly on our street. And then they'll be able to figure out a fee for that and get something like that in, which could benefit many of us and many in our neighborhoods. And they could even make it annual or twice a year. But since they can figure it in, it won't be the huge process we have to go through for a large item pickup kind of services. So also they will not be charging more than what the costs are. Only the costs will be in the costs that become each homeowner's fee, and which is unlike some of these other services because they're making a profit in addition to charging us the cost. So those were all very important points, and a lot of people also talked about at the CPC talked about how there's only 2 cities in the entire state that do not pay for pickup. Every one of them, San Diego, and one of them I think is somewhere up north. Somebody said, I won't tell you, I won't name the name because I can't really remember. But all the cities around us all have all pay for trash pickup. And if you've ever lived in like La Mesa, or I used to live in Vista, and we paid for trash, and wasn't really extreme. It seems like we were paying $30 to $40 a month or something like that, whatever it was. And it was added onto our water bills in Vista. I don't know how it gets added on here. But anyway, it was a very interesting discussion. It sounds like a lot of people are actually for with having us pay for our trash pickup. And also you can get your trash can replacements for free. And anyway, it was interesting. We learned a lot more facts, and more facts will be coming out to all of us along with that ballot to mail in. And I think that's going to happen in November. Okay.
I have a question. Did they talk about what the revenue would go for? Because right now the revenue, there's no revenue coming in, so there's only revenue going out, right? If we were all paying for it, then that you would assume that would now cover the cost of picking up trash.
Right.
Where would the current trash pickup budget be redirected to?
Yeah, I think it goes to the general fund. And I think it's they estimated between 6 and 8. I want to say, I don't know if million's enough. I don't think so.
Yeah.
6 to 800 million. Is Roberta still
No,
there?
Roberta's
Anyway, whatever the amount is that they're paying for, that would all go back. And my understanding is general fund, and that is one of the complaints, is that just is all discretionary for the city council and the mayor.
Right.
So it was interesting. And then we had another issue, and it was from Choice Valley again. And they have I feel they have a really tough situation in their neighborhood. They have it was a private piece of property and a developer has plans in for it. And they always understood that the land was supposed to be able to possibly be purchased by the city for park because they're short on parks down in their area too. The development, I forget how many units, I want to say 25, but maybe it's more. And there's going to be new roads inside and all these different things. And they're losing one of the parcels that could possibly be open space or a park in their planning area, in their whole area. And they feel like in their general plan or their plan update, which was approved not that long ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, that it was even mentioned in that plan update that this was land that could possibly be acquired for a park. Now the development's going in, it's going to just completely densify everything, and they feel like they're being redlined and or they're being not redlined now, but the map and the zoning and all sorts of things are still falling within the redlined parameters that are historical for that area. And they want changes made to the code. Turns out when we approved all of the changes to the municipal code, when the different programs, what are they? The complete communities and all these different plans were being approved. There was an asterisk by one of the zones that said this zone would no longer be in Canto. And they actually changed their name to Choice Valley before that. And they were trying to figure out if that's legal because of the name being wrong. And that little asterisk got missed by just everybody. Nobody really saw the asterisk. And it changed the zoning on the lot that they're talking about. Anyway, they're asking for a letter of support from CPC to see if there's anything that can be done. And we're supporting it. We're taking out some of the redlining language, but you can't take out the fact that it's one of the equity communities, insufficient, the equity communities that needs the equity, and that it's it does harm when you take away your one chance for a park. And now with all the funds from development impact fees being pooled, maybe there's a way that money could be taken from that in the land purchase. But once the developer starts working on plans and gets dollars in his eyes for how much he can make with 25 homes, it's hard to come up with the money that can match that. So anyway, it's a rough situation they're having down there. It's really, really rough. It's a shame.
Thank you. Alex? Yeah, no, in relation to that, it's actually something called footnote 7, little footnote that they upzoned that from 1 to 2 to 1 to 7, I believe. And so they said it allowed, rather than 2 homes per 5,000 square feet, it could be up to a lot more. And that's what they're complaining about being picked on again. So greater density in a neighborhood that's already suffered through things like redlining and electric services, and now they want this park, and that's exactly where this is going to be. So they feel like it's kind of a end run around what the community wants and needs, and deliberately upzone an area that's already a community of concern. That's the term. Right? And so now it's even more concerning.
Thank you.
One thing I want to comment on too, in terms of the trash thing, I've actually been in a long email exchange going on now for a month with Jeremy Bauer, who's the Assistant Director of Environmental Services, about all the things that they're going to do. And we had tons of questions for him. And I got an email back from him today because he promised me answers last week and didn't happen. Anyway, what he said, I'm trying to find the actual email from today. Oh yeah. He goes, thank you for following up on this. We are proceeding with updating our FAQ document to address the topics you raised with us. I'm hopeful this will be up on our website any day now. I'll reach out with the link once it's been posted online. So I'll send it to Lynn, and you can then distribute it. We'll send it out because I had a list of like 10 questions about process, things like, well, who's going to send out the ballot since this is a city issue, not a county issue? There's not a voter registration drive. It's going to be property owners. So that's the assessor's office, right? So how is this ever going to work out logistically? And then who counts these things? How does this stuff get validated? As she said, you know, the process is basically they send out all the ballots. Any unreturned ballot is a yes. Basically, right? And at first we thought the city had orchestrated that. It's not, it's actually the state of California.
Yeah.
Passed a regulation about voting around this particular kind of issue. Yeah, not for other voting, but for something like this kind of trash pickup or these kind of things. So basically, you know, rather than unreturned ballots being abstentions, which normally what in any election, right? I mean, imagine electing the mayor and you know, everyone who didn't vote was a no, right? Or whatever. It's really kind of an interesting setup.
It definitely sets a precedent because if you could do that, then why not be able to do it for all issues, right?
Like a bond issue.
Right, or like voting
Well,
for
it's
any.
very
right.
specific to government and different things
But
like
technically,
that. It is very
unreturned
specific.
ballot, an abstention, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not a yes
Yeah.
or, you know, when you get 30% turnout, you know, you don't go, well, that 70%
It's all yes.
didn't vote, so we don't have any government.
Right, right.
That's all a no, or anyway, so that's a weird setup. It's not the city that did that. At first, we kind of thought it was, and they didn't know either. I asked them, well, who made up this rule? It took them about 2 weeks to finally get back to me to figure out. It's that Proposition 17 thing, and it's like, okay. So anyway, when I find out more, when the FAQs get posted publicly, I'll send it to you, and then you can distribute it, and I'll let our community know, and you can let your communities know the answer to a lot of the logistical questions and things like that. So,
Thanks, Alex.
sure.
So, the last community plan update meeting was last month. The next one I think will be probably in January. I think not enough people are going to be able to attend in December. And that will be on the mobility plan for this area. And again, when I get the information, I want to encourage you to get it out to your communities. We need more representation from Eastern area residents at these meetings. I see that the other 3 planning groups are very well represented at this meeting. There's not a huge number of people, but it's important that we have a voice in all of this. And so please show up. I do have a specific question that I've asked Alex Frost to address at the next meeting, and that's to explain to everyone the role of the working group as defined by the planning department for this purpose. We'll just let it go at that. I did also want to say, I've been talking with Leslie Reynolds from Groundwork, and Groundwork and the Choice Creek Coalition are supporting us on 4 of our infrastructure priorities. And they'll be sending a letter of support, supporting the idea of a skate park in Redwood Village on University Avenue. Although skateboard park falls apart, they will support any park there at all. They support the idea of the bikeway on 54th, the protected bikeway. So once a university bikeway is completed, there actually would be a bikeway connection to go down to College Grove, go to the new library. They are supporting the purchase of Xena Canyon. And they are supporting, in the event that we don't get the trees that we want between College and Aragon, another concept that Kristen, Jen, and I learned about at the Blue-Green workshop, collaborative workshop a few weeks ago. It's stormwater medians. And it's the green, it's like very much like the Green Project in La Mesa. And they would support that if we don't get an adequate tree program between College and Aragon, would be to do stormwater medians between College and Aragon. And that potentially would also address all the flooding issues. I mean, University Avenue is flooded out 3 times in the last 7 or 8 years. The Village Green apartment, people who lost their homes, 57 families, Many of them were flooded out 6 years ago during the last flood. And I still have pictures that I've sent to our city council office where the water's 3 feet high on University Avenue.
Croc Center too.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, again, it's just support, but we appreciate all the support that we get from, this, and it's because they're about parks and, environmental issues. Yeah.
And the trees and the stormwater collection on University both happen because it
Yes.
does seem very important. Rolando has all those streets that just flow right down there and it's tremendous amount of water.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, sure it is.
Yeah, and they're already designing, it's in the preliminary stage where they're designing a new drain system at college and university anyway, so it's in the early stages. This is really the time to see if they can do something. So,
Yeah, especially following all the floods this last year. It's really a good time.
yeah. And that's our next meeting, will pretty much be devoted to Rolando issues. We will be talking about that In-N-Out Burger, the developer, from In-N-Out, their development team will be here. It's the first information meeting. The next week they'll be going to the Rolando Community Council meeting. It's actually backwards. Usually we would want them to go to but the way it falls, it'll come to us first. It'll go to them. It probably won't come to us as an action item until after the first of the year sometime to make a recommendation. And I think we will also be talking to a group from Rolando, who want to change the name of the park there. They were successful in changing the name of the elementary school. And now they want to change the park to match. And it was suggested to them by Danielle that getting a recommendation from your planning group would be a good idea. However, they are getting one from the college area as well. So we must tell them that it's more important to get one from your own planning group.
Yeah.
Are you taking suggestions?
Oh,
Are you taking suggestions
for
for the name of the new park?
no,
I think
there's
there's
elementary school is Ruth of Pendleton.
Yeah.
And so that, yeah, they'll change it. I think they just want to change it to Pendleton, but it's a very lengthy process. I see Danielle's here. I'm going to ask her to keep it very brief.
That was psychic.
Hi, Danielle. If you're online, we're just about ready to make a motion to adjourn.
Want to hear from Bruce first?
Oh, Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, you had some information for us.
The two questions.
Yes.
The first one, then I'm gonna have to find the acreage.
Okay,
I did not find that, but
that's fine.
we know that the library will be 20,000 square feet. And then there will be a sorting facility at 10,000 square.
How much parking is there?
In the first phase, I couldn't find. that.
Okay.
I will, I'll find that out as well. And what will happen with the $4.6 million for phase one will be design and permitting of the library sorting facility. And right of way improvements as well as underground. Will cover
Some site prep.
like the $4.6 million. And then the second part of that is the design of net zero library that complies with zero emissions for.
Thank you, Bruce. I would appreciate, yeah, when you can, maybe next month or so. And the reason I ask is because we've seen the park points that are being allotted for the eastern area. And Choice Lake eats up a lot of the park points. So if some of that's going to be a library, some of it's going to be a parking lot, some of it's going to be a recreation center. We want those points deducted so that we can look at parks from the other communities.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I did leave out one, the Green Alley project is also being supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, zero energy or zero emissions? Um, Probably zero energy, but they are different things, so.
I can go back.
And actually, there's a lot of concern about how many park points are in the Choice Lake area, because it's not just counting for eastern area, but it's counting for the entire mid-city that we're doing the plan update for.
Right.
And a lot of people are, a lot of like Kensington, Talmadge area and Normal Heights are saying, why are we having to include this with our park points too? So they're working on maybe carving things out a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. We need to really get it as skinny down. Same with Man Middle School. We get one little tiny field and there's all this huge Man Middle School footprint showing up. So we have to whittle that down too.
That's an issue with joint use fields and the way they work in the city, which is not equitable to communities.
No, it's terrible.
I don't know that we would ever address that in the community plan update, but it needs to be addressed by the Park and Rec Department at some point.
For reality,
Not
it
equitable
has to be,
communities.
yeah.
We know, because we fought to get a very small amount of ours to be passive so that the community can actually use it. But it doesn't work that way for everybody. 8:52. Motion to adjourn. Danielle, are you
Yes.
online?
Yes, I am. I had to watch the Padre game. Sorry, guys.
Do we win?
Yeah, you guys, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Okay, all I can tell you is that the bottom of the second inning and the top of the third inning were very, very exciting. Okay. I'm glad you were all talking about park points. That's nice to hear. I wanted to go yesterday to the City Heights Area Committee, and I wasn't sure if the draft of the update, the draft existing conditions was going to be presented, but I'm trying to find that out and find out what, if it did, what their conversation was about parks over in City Heights, because I've attended the other three draft conditions, existing conditions presentations. The best one actually was Ken Towle, because our chairperson, David Modi, are you all still there? My computer went bluey.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. David Modi had his own version to counter what you have all just been saying about park points. My updates are that at Colina's last CRG meeting, we had a wonderful presentation about why Clay Park should be renamed to Pendleton Park because the elementary school adjacent to it, that is the joint use part of it, has just recently been named Pendleton Elementary. And so we'll be taking action on that in November. We meet every other month, so we heard the presentation in September. And tomorrow night on Zoom, there will be a joint Areas Committee 1, Areas Committee 2 meeting, and city staff that's been attending those last 3 or 4 now for the last few months, they're all on Zoom, have been giving wonderful presentations about various topics, citywide stuff. So if anybody wants the Zoom link to that, just email me and I'll get it over to you tonight or tomorrow. And that's really all I have, unless anybody has questions.
Questions for Danielle? No? Guess not. Thank you,
Okay,
Danielle.
great. Go Padres. Bye.
That's for me, thanks. All right, it's 8:55, motion to adjourn. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Who's that lady next to you? I don't know who she is. She's
You're in the
supposed to-
wrong
I think she
spot.
sits over there.
There's no chair.
That's
over
why
there.